Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video, and I'm here doing another interview, and I'm here with Stevie Spark. How are you, lad?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Thanks very much for having me on.
Yes, it's a real honour to have an Australian on the channel, especially of one of your calibre.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm fighting at super lightweight, 63.5 kilo, and we just recently signed with Matchroom Boxing. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Definitely. And so you mentioned you're super lightweight, so you're 15-2 and you're 25, correct?
Yep, 25 years old. Actually, my birthday is next month, so we turn 26, and yeah, so just cruising along nicely at the moment.
Okay, and if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do indeed like video, and let's get straight into it. So I'm going to start with a question which I always like to start off with, and that is, who inspired you to get into boxing?
Actually, it was one of my mates. I used to do a bit of just a bit of sports. I was always into footy and all that when I was younger, and tennis, and he just sort of suggested I come down to the local recreational centre. I'm from a little country town of only like a couple of thousand people, so we went down there and there was not much else to do. So got into the boxing there, and I actually wasn't that really good at the start. Used to get flogged a bit, but yeah, it was good. I'm glad I started doing it.
Definitely. I mean, nobody's ever really going to be great at the start. It's just working the way up in it.
Yeah, definitely. Keep chipping away at it. It's definitely a sport of consistency.
Definitely. And so, how old were you when you first started?
12.
Yeah, it's a good age to start, really. Not too late. And
No,
so,
definitely.
did you go down the amateur route like most people?
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't have my first amateur fight until I was about 13, nearly early 14. Yeah, I had 38 amateur fights. I won the Australian title, and I got to also travel to England in 2012 and had 3 fights over there. Come over with the Australian team. Nikita Zoo actually come over as well, and yeah, we had a great team, great trip, and yeah, so I've had a bit of international experience as an amateur, and not too many fights, but I always had my sights sort of set on being a professional. So 4 weeks after my 80th birthday, I signed a deal and yeah, turned professional.
Definitely. And so, is that the main reason why you turned professional, just on the fact of you were just eager to do it as soon as you could?
Yeah, I think I was more suited also to a professional style. Being a 3-round fight in the amateurs, I always wanted those longer rounds and obviously to get paid. So turned professional, and my trainer manager here, Brendan Smith, don't know if you know, but he took Michael Katsitas all the way to the top and won a few world titles. He travelled to England and fought over there and beat Graham Earl and fought a lot of the Kevin Mitchell. So he's been my trainer manager since I was very young, and he puts on local promotions on here in Australia. So that was who I started fighting under when I turned pro.
Yes, and so you've had a good few fights now, and I always kind of like to ask fighters that come on, in their own personal opinion, which fight would you say you performed your best in?
Different stages in my career, probably. Each fight's a little step up at the time of what you think. At the time was good. One fight that always sort of sticks with me is my first big fight with Jack Brubaker. I stepped up to welterweight for this fight to get a fight, and at the time he was the #1 in the country here in Australia. Fought some big names, Larry Sinew and all that, and so to step up and fight him, step up in a weight division, and I put on an unbelievable performance. Besides the first round where I actually got dropped. But after that, I switched on and won every round after that. So that was probably one of my hardest fights and most memorable just because of the circumstances surrounding it. And yeah, it was a very sweet victory, that one. Going off best performances, probably my last fight actually, where I beat Kong Song. Kong Song fought Josh Taylor for the IBF and WBA world titles. We were able to get him over here. And I stopped him in the 3rd round, which is, I just felt amazing on the night. Everything felt good. Everything come together, and I did the training camp good. I couldn't have faulted it. So we went to Thailand to do a bit of training camp over there as well, and yeah, it's the best I've ever felt.
Definitely. And so I don't know if you want to speak about this too much, but you have had the 2 defeats, and so in general, how hard is it to bounce back from a defeat?
For sure. Like the first defeat I ever had was my second professional fight, where I travelled to China for the Chinese New Year over there. They had a big promotion over there. Liu Gang does some big ones. And I took on their local boy there, and I lost on a majority decision. One judge thought it a draw, and the other 2 gave it to him by 1 round, which, personally, I still think I won that fight, and I had many people after the fight tell me that, which, it still hits hard though, because on paper and on box rank, there's a loss there. So yeah, it was hard to accept that loss, but it's how you bounce back and getting back into the gym. I was very young also too, so I knew that eventually you just got to keep sticking at it. And like I said, this sport's consistency. Losses don't make your career. You look at some great fighters out there who've had lots of losses, and it's about how you improve and keep moving forward. And the other loss I've had is against Tim Zhu, which, again, circumstances surrounding that, I stepped up, to super welterweight and, jumped up 2 divisions from my normal weight class of super lightweight. And I also took that fight on 6 days' notice with absolutely no training behind me. So I went out there and had a crack, and I got paid. So, I take that one of my stride, and I keep moving forward.
Definitely. I mean, I respect the fact of you're not taking the easier fights and not kind of backing out of fights that might not be in your favour.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what it's about, this sport, as well, as testing yourself and, making as much money as you can and getting towards that world title. At super lightweight, I do believe I'm one of the best in the world. So, I'm sticking at this weight class now. There'll be no jump ups at the moment, and there'll be no late notice fights from now on. So we're sitting in a good position. And like I said, we just signed with Matchroom, and we're looking at, we just signed to fight Montana Love over in America, which will be the main event. We'll be headlining that card, 12 rounds on DAZN. So massive fight, and we've got a good camp. We've been in camp now for 6 weeks already. We've got 11 weeks to go, and look, we're going to be very prepared, and we're going to come to win that fight.
Mm-hmm. So we'll touch more on the upcoming fight in a minute, but you also spoke about the fact that you've got a long camp for this one. And like most people, there probably is days where you don't really want to train or you don't really want to do stuff like that. And so what keeps you motivated to carry on?
Yeah, look, one of those days was today. Yeah, we're all going to have those days where we don't feel like training. I think they're definitely the important ones to definitely show up and keep doing the work. But it's also, too, listening to your body on the days that you don't feel like doing it. If you've had a few big sessions, so have an easier day. And you can't keep flogging a dead horse. Listening to your body. And motivation's a weird thing. Motivation's always going to dip up and down. So I think it's important to be driven by something other than motivation. And then when you have a world title in mind and when you want to be a world champion, you got to take that the higher route and be driven towards that.
Definitely. And so I saw on your record you've gotten 14 KOs out of your 15 wins, which is a very impressive stat. And so I was wondering, has that power always been with you?
I think so. Like, I've always had people say that I can punch hard. I definitely was, when I was younger, was a lot more of a brawler and threw a lot more punches and bunches and that. And as I sort of progressed my career, I've definitely learned how to box a lot more. I broke my right hand early on in my career, so I boxed for about 2 years off one hand. Definitely taught me how to box a lot better and set my shots up. But I do believe, my power's always sort of been there from a young age. I've always been quite strong, physically opposing in the ring. So hopefully I can carry that up to this next level on the next fight.
Definitely.
Obviously, like you said, it's an impressive stat, but the fights haven't been, when you start getting to that top tier of the 15 in the world, the top 10 in the world, whether or not that power carries through, which I do believe it will. I believe I'm one of the hardest hitting 140-pounders. So, at the moment, we're still flying under the radar a bit, but after this next fight, everyone will know who Spark is. Definitely.
And so you've touched a bit on the fact that you're going to be fighting a big fight here, and this is for the IBF North American Super Lightweight belt. And so how is this this is kind of like your first main big belt for the professionals, if I'm right in saying?
Yeah, look, I fought for the IBF Australasian and the IBF Youth World title and the WBC Australasian title, which has got me my 20th. I'm rated 20 in the world with the WBC. But yeah, look, this not only the title, but probably where Montana Love's rated. He's 7 in the IBF. He's been touted as the next superstar in America and in boxing. So, it's a big scale to be taking. I'd say the winner of this one will go within, the top 5, top 3 in the world with the IBF. So this is a massive fight. It's a must-win fight for me as well.
Definitely. And congratulations on the fact of signing with Matchroom. It's definitely a big thing.
Thank you.
And so it's good to see them throwing you straight into a fight, and they probably have given you this opportunity which many other organisations might not have given you. And so what has it been like working with them? It's only been a few weeks, but what's it been like working with them?
Yeah, so Eddie actually flew over to Australia recently. He's breaking into the Australian market, and it was a couple of days after my fight with Kong Song. He messaged me on Instagram, and then he come up to Toowoomba and had a meeting with me and Brendan. And look, we had some good chats. He threw around a couple of names in England, and one of them was Robbie Davies, which I was so keen on that fight. And for some reason, we couldn't sort of get that fight into fruition. And a few other names were thrown around. Actually, the bloke who lost to Montana Love, the Mexican boy in his last fight, I think it's Gonzalez or something like that, was keen on, and I don't know, that didn't come about either. But anyway, he's thrown Montana Love in there, and it was good time to get ready. When he brought it up, it was, you know, a good 15, 16 weeks. So, you know, it was plenty of time, and we're just happy this sort of opportunity was able to be, you know, Eddie did his best, obviously, to get us the best fight possible, and this is it. So far, they've been great to work with. I mean, it's no secret, he's the biggest promoter in the boxing world at the moment. He's doing amazing things all over the world. As I said, he's breaking into the Australian market now and signing some great fighters, some great young talent. And yeah, look, I'm just excited to fight on a different platform now, on DAZN, the biggest one in the world. And also, too, I think the American fans and the fans around the world are in for a big treat. You know, this is a way for me to break into a big market, and I think everyone's going to love my all-action style.
Definitely. And so you've kind of just gotten into this fight, even though it is a very tough fight, like you were saying, and you know, kind of going to be obviously the underdog. And so betting points and stuff like that, and that's why the fight will probably be in America for Love. But what are you?
Yeah, it's in his hometown. This is in his hometown. This is all for him. So look, to me, mate, the pressure's all on him.
Yeah.
The pressure's on him to perform. And as you say, like, everyone might be touting me as the underdog, but in my mind, I'm not the underdog. I'm coming there to win, and in my mind, I'm the favourite. I've watched this man a lot. I've watched him fight for a while, and I know my talent. So in my mind, I'm not the underdog, but the work rate, the gym work that we're doing, I'm putting in the work as an underdog anyway.
Definitely. And so you've got this fight coming up November 12th. I always like to ask, why should people come and watch you? What will make it different to watching any other fighter?
Because my style is very exciting. I don't know if you've watched it, but people are in for a big fucking treat when they watch me. It's exciting. I love to try and knock people out. As you said, out of my 15 wins, I got 14 knockouts. I think people are in for a big treat when they watch me fight on November 12th. Yeah, look, I'm just excited to get in there and show everyone what I have. I'm going to give my absolute all on the night. I always do.
Definitely. And so you're just getting to the kind of good point of your career now, going into like the best kind of years. And so where do you see yourself in 5 years? What have you accomplished in 5 years' time?
Yeah, I hope in 5 years' time that I've unified the division in some way with 2 titles, and I just hope that I can keep putting on fights that people love as well. And it's not just about being undefeated, but keep on taking the hard fights that I am, to keep on taking the hard route, and doing it my way, doing it our way. You know, me and Brendan, we've always done things our way, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Keep exploring the options in the boxing world. But yeah, definitely be a world champion in 5 years.
Definitely. And so you have got this big fight here with Love, but I always like to kind of throw in this question as well, because you're going to be heading, if you win this, into the top 5 of the IBF. And so is there, like, if you could choose anybody in your weight category to fight right now other than Love, who would you fight?
If it was to be look, so I don't know if you know, but recently Matchroom Boxing, they've also signed Liam Parrow, who's another 140 pounder here in Australia, and great guy, and he's got a big fight coming up, Brock Jarvis, but I think, you know, he's rated number 5 in the IBF, and 1 in the WBO, so I think that is a huge fight. You know, both of us being signed with Matchroom Boxing, that's definitely a huge potential fight here to be made. So who knows, you know, in the future, if I beat Love and he comes through in his fight, that's potentially a big fight to make in Australia. But on the world stage, I mean, the obvious would have to be Josh Taylor. You know, he's the man at the moment considered in the 140 division, but he may possibly be moving up to welterweight after this fight. But there's some huge fights. I mean, look, Ryan Garcia just recently moved up to our division as well. That's a big fight. There's talk of Tank Davis moving up, so maybe. It's talking to be one of the biggest divisions now, 140. It's exciting. There's some big fights there.
And you did speak a little bit on Taylor there, and so if he does end up rematching Catero, I don't know if you saw the first fight or not, but would you have a kind of sway in who you think would win that one if they rematch? I
think going off the fight from the first time, I think Josh Taylor's going to make the adjustments this time, and I think he'll stop Catero late. You know, I think he makes the adjustments this time and gets it done. You know, he's gone out of his way to relinquish 2 or 3 of his titles to make this fight happen. So he seems very determined to go out there and right this wrong. So I'd imagine that he's going to make the changes and get the job done.
Definitely. And that's kind of similar to what I think, to be honest. But I'll leave it with this final question. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Would you like to shout anything out?
Oh, look, I just want to give a big thanks to everyone who's sort of helped along the way for me to get to this point. You know, it's a very lonely sport and a hard sport. We do it on our own, but there's also a big team that makes it possible too. I'm a proud Toowoomba boy, and I've got lots and lots of great sponsors, great people that have been behind me from this point to get to here, and I'm sure the team's going to keep growing. You know, I'm very lucky, so can't thank everyone enough. My trainer-manager, Brendan Smith, for making this possible. You know, we've worked hard for the last 13 years to get to this point, and look, we haven't come this far just to come this far. So we're going to take it to the next level now, and obviously to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing for, you know, making this fight possible and giving this opportunity. But we're going to go over there and ruin the apple cart. We're going to upset big time over there.
Definitely, and so I wish you the best of luck with this upcoming fight.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate you, and appreciate you for getting me on. It's been a good chat.
Yeah, very much appreciate you coming on, mate. And I'm sure it won't be too long until you do be fighting for these world titles that you speak about, and maybe then we can come back and do a return interview.
Definitely. I'm sure we'll be heading over to England soon too, so I'd love to get over that part of the world. You know, the English fans have always been amazing, and the way they get behind their fighters and those shows over there are absolutely huge. So hopefully one day I can get over there and everyone can come support out there too.
Definitely. I mean, if you're ever in England and you're fighting, I'll try my hardest to come watch you fight. Legend. Because you are an entertaining fighter.
Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate it.
Alright, okay. And if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video, and thanks for watching.